Hello, and welcome to Whodunitville. My first exposure to the Charlie Chan movie franchise was when I was 6 years old. My mom had to get up at 5 a.m. every day in order to get to her job on time, which was a fair distance away from where we lived. She usually left without waking me or my older sister up, entrusting my sister to get me and herself ready for school. One day, though, I woke up early because I was very sick. My mom gave me some medicine and allowed me to sit up until I felt a little better. I turned on the television expecting to see the Three Stooges, which I knew ran early in the morning. Instead, I was met by a portly man dressed all in white, with a wide-brimmed hat and a strange goatee. It wasn't until the ad break that I found out I was watching a Charlie Chan mystery movie. Since then, I've seen every Chan movie, and out of all the actors who portrayed the Chinese detective, Warner Oland, Sidney Toler, Peter Ustinov, J. Carrol Naish, Ross Martin, my favorite has to be Sidney Toler. Toler's Chan provided me with a welcome oasis from all the other hard-boiled, no-nonsense detectives like Mike Hammer or Philip Marlowe that I was enamored with when my love for all things crime fiction first started to grow. Toler's version of Chan, and the character of Charlie Chan in general, was much lighter in tone and could always be counted upon to bring me back from the brink of depression if I'd watched too many noir mysteries and reveled in the darkest parts of man's nature. Charlie Chan was created by Earl de Biggers in 1925. Biggers was an American playwright, novelist, journalist, and Harvard graduate who loosely based the Chan character on real-life Honolulu police detective Chang Apana. It was always Biggers' intention to advance a positive version of Chinese Americans to counteract the perpetuation of the then endemic anti-Chinese stereotypes that ran through the new mass media of cinema and radio. In attempting this, Biggers created what is arguably the first non-white popular detective hero in literary history. Sinister and wicked Chinese are old stuff, said Earl de Biggers, but an amiable Chinese on the side of law and order has never been used. John Stone, producer of the first Charlie Chan film, is reported to have said, "The Chan character was deliberately decided upon partially as a refutation of the unfortunate Fu Manchu characterization of the Chinese, and partly as a demonstration of his own idea that any minority group could be sympathetically portrayed on the screen with the right story and approach." Earl de Biggers wrote 6 novels in the Charlie Chan series, beginning with The House Without a Key in 1925, a serialized novel in the January 24, 1925 issue of the Saturday Evening Post. The series ended with Keeper of the Keys in 1932. As for the films, the role of Charlie Chan had been given twice to Japanese actors Kamiyama Sojin and George Kuwa in several films before the mainstream success of Charlie Chan Carries On in 1931 with Warner Oland as Chan. Oland played the character in 16 films for Fox, and these were shot as A movies, higher-end productions on the level of major motion pictures, even though they were still shot by the B movie production units. It wasn't until 1938 that the series took on a B-movie look with B-movie plots. Unfortunately, Oland fell into being pigeonholed as Chan, and a toll on his career nearly caused Oland to drink himself to death. One day in 1938, while still filming Charlie Chan at the ringside, Oland simply walked off the set, got in his boat, and sailed to his native Sweden, where he caught pneumonia and later passed away. Fox had no intention of letting its most popular franchise end, so the role was passed to Missouri-born actor Sidney Toler, whose real name was Hooper G. Toler, Jr. 34 other actors were tested before the studio decided on Toler in the main role, and filming for Charlie Chan in Honolulu began on October 24th, 1938. Besides Toler, another change was made in the series. Now that Warner Oland was gone, Key Luke was no longer interested in playing the role of the number one son sidekick, Lee. Replacing him would be Sen Young as number 2 son, Jimmy. With his first Chan film in 1939's Charlie Chan in Honolulu, Sidney Toler began a run that would see him in 3 more Chan films that year for Fox, followed by 4 more in 1940, 2 in 1941, and just 1 in 1942, entitled Castle in the Desert. Through 4 years and 11 films, Toler's Chan became very popular, especially in the overseas markets. So popular that the Charlie Chan films at one point even saved Fox Studios from going bankrupt. But in 1942, with war raging in those same overseas markets, the distribution to Europe and Asian countries became unavailable, and Fox terminated the Chan series, along with other B-movie series including Jane Withers, Michael Shayne, and the Cisco Kid. Toler, undaunted, worked to gain the screen rights to the Charlie Chan character from Eleanor Biggers Cole, the widow of Earl de Biggers, Chan's creator. He had hoped that Fox Studios would distribute new Charlie Chan films if he could find someone to finance the new movies. But this didn't happen. Instead, Monogram Pictures, a Poverty Row studio, picked up the series. In between the Fox Pictures and the Monogram films in 1942, Sidney Toler played another police detective in Columbia Pictures' A Night to Remember with Brian Aherne and Loretta Young. The film was meant to be a not-too-subtle homage to the currently playing Thin Man films, with the plot changed ever so slightly to include a mystery author and his wife instead of the Thin Man's amateur sleuth and witch wife. With the release of the next Charlie Chan film from Monogram, 1944's Charlie Chan and the Secret Service, it became obvious that Monogram's production values were no match for those of Fox. Monogram's budgets were typically about 40% of what Fox's had been, but even so, the new Toler films remained popular with moviegoers. As the films progressed, more casting changes were made. Sen Young left Hollywood to serve in the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II, ultimately earning the rank of captain. Young would be replaced in the films by Benson Fong as number 3 son Tommy, and once by Edwin Luke as number 4 son Eddie. Manton Moreland was cast as Birmingham Brown to bring more comic relief to the films. Moreland was an established actor and comedian who honed his comedic skills in vaudeville before acting for several major studios and independent productions. By the end of 1946, age and illness were affecting Toler. Diagnosed with cancer, the 72-year-old was so ill during the filming of Dangerous Money and Shadows over Chinatown that he could hardly walk. In order to help Toler, Monogram rehired Sen Young to again play Jimmy Chan and expanded Moreland's role so that most of the action of the films would fall to them instead of Sidney Toler. According to Manton Moreland, Toler gallantly refused to leave the series. Mr. Toler couldn't stand for very long and had to rest a lot, said Moreland. I told him he should be in the hospital, and he said to me, Manny, if I quit the picture, I'll put all these people out of work. Sidney Toler's last film, The Trap, was filmed in July and August of 1946 and was released in November of that same year. After acting in 11 Chan films for Fox and 11 Chan films for Monogram, Toler, no longer able to work in pictures, was forced into retirement. Sidney Toler died on February 12, 1947, at his home in Los Angeles. Even though the Charlie Chan films carried on after Toler, with actor Roland Winters doing 6 more Chan films for Monogram and various other performers taking up the role in TV movies, Sidney Toler's version will always be the definitive Charlie Chan for me. Toler's films, in my opinion, perfectly blended the dark noirish movie plots of the 1940s with their violent murders and deadly scenarios for the detective, with a very avuncular protagonist one might find in a cozy mystery. You can't help but root for the caring father and patient family man whose overwhelming sense of duty and justice pushes him into the darkest corners of 1940s society. And that's why Sidney Toler is my favorite Charlie Chan. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the Whodunitville channel. That way you'll be notified when another video like this comes out. And if you wish, tap the like button and share this video with friends. It really helps the channel. Thank you.